both shadow and substance, things and ideas are just crossed over into the twilight zone. Not only of sight and sound, but of mind.
People. Don't have to imagine a damn thing. Hold on, let me get set up here. How is everybody doing today? Oh my gosh, I'm back from the dead. Alright.
You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas. You've just crossed over into another dimension.
I was in the twilight zone. Actually, I wasn't in the twilight zone. I was sick. I know somebody's out there laughing right now. He said he don't never get sick. He got sick. I got sick. I think I was sick. I'm not sure. But I had a splitting headache, so I couldn't come out here and talk nonsense yesterday. So I'm back from the live. I don't know how y'all do it. I have no idea how in the world y'all eat GMOs and pesticides and all of this crazy stuff and get up in the morning, like the headaches and stuff. Because I have to admit, I've been eating bad, y'all. I ate a little too much ice cream. And I think that played its role in my migraine, but it put me on my back. But I'm back. So anyway, listen. I was thinking of something. You know what? We don't have to imagine nothing if we will no more. Because it's all real. When we were kids, we used to watch Alfred Hitchcock. We used to watch The Twilight Zone. And we used to watch crazy stuff, right? Like this is just insane stuff. Never happened. People never be this stupid. Oh, it's all real now. It's real. It's imagine if you will. Oh my goodness. So I'm gonna do a little fun. Have a little fun today. Do a little bit. I'm gonna call it Imagine If You Will. I'd appreciate your help if you'd like to join in. But before I go, I can't wear my lumberjack. It's too hippie. I can't wear my lumberjack shirt. I can't even speak. I get a little coffee. Imagine, if you will, a time where we become so lost to everything common damn sense that the word common sense goes away. You know, imagine, if you will, a war on terror that does nothing but create more terrorism. And people keep clapping. Imagine if I have to put on something professional. Somebody told me I wasn't professional. I'm professional. Damn it. I profess all the time. That's all I do. Put a little coffee. I can be professional. I'm going. Brother Rod always had a jacket. So I got to have a jacket look like Brother Rod. They used to put on the jacket coat show and they used to go into town. I know you young people, y'all don't know what that is because y'all go to work. Y'all never had to wear suits and ties. You know, we had to wear suits and ties like we were going to town to get food for mama. But I'm putting on a suit and tie, try to look a little professional like Brother Rod, you know. But imagine, if you will, the crazy things that are happening today. You know what I just saw today? Blew me away, y'all. San Francisco. They were trying to first of all, let me tell you who. San Francisco SPCA was trying to deploy robots to bother homeless people and get them off the street. Now, by bother, I'm not sure what that means. It might just mean playing music. It could mean kicking them, spraying water at them in the wintertime. Y'all know how y'all treat people on the Dapple pipeline. And it's just, I guess it just boggles my mind. Like, how did we get here? Imagine, if you will, a species so lost to everything, All of their ancestors tried to put into their blockheads that they would accept putting robots on the street to chase off the homeless, knowing 25% of them are children and a large percentage of them are veterans. Imagine, if you will, a country that would call that supporting the troops while they're clapping left and right, literally left and right, while somebody's trying to deploy it. I posted it. Y'all can go look at it. I'm sorry. And I'm not even up to this right now because I still got a little uneasiness, so I got a little uneasiness still in me, but I saw that. I said, I have to go on here. I have to talk about this. This is crazy. These people are nuts. But anyway, I'm sorry. Who do we got this evening? Y'all, let me see who's here, who's supposed to be out Christmas shopping, feeding the consumerism, feeding slavery as much as possible, but instead they just on here trying to be anyway, brother ML and Buddha and Cindy and Patricia, brother Martin's in the house, Victoria, Adrian, Cheryl, welcome to the house, brother Billy, Ron, Harvey, okay, Nina, okay, wow, all of y'all. So y'all not doing Christmas this year, huh? Did y'all decide to do like a local Christmas? You're not out there. Y'all just went ahead and got all your electronics early, got all your asteroid dust crap early. So, but I'm sitting here, I think about this. Imagine, if you will, oh my goodness, this one will get me in trouble. Imagine, if you will, a Christian church that doesn't read their Bibles and support everything that Christ hates. Imagine. I'm Christian, y'all. Stop it. I can talk about what I'm supposed to be. I got to fix my jacket. I got to look professional. I'm going to try to look professional. Oh, gosh. It's crazy. Imagine, if you will, an educated, I'm going to have to say an educated population that allows industries to tamper with their children's immune systems, and nobody on the planet even knows what the immune system is completely for or how it works. Imagine, you don't have to imagine that, y'all. It's everywhere. That's probably why one of y'all done gave me the flu. That y'all got your flu shots and you came shared it with me. But the good thing was, because my immune system actually works, because I avoid as much of the crap I can in the chemical companies that had took over the food industry, my immune system knocked it out in less than 8 hours, and it was just a headache, no vomiting and all that crazy stuff that goes on for a week. And that's another. Imagine, if you will, a biological species that actually accepts the idea that chemical companies owning their entire damn food system is a good idea. Oh my gosh. There's just so many of them. It's so delicious. We could spend all day imagining, because you don't have to imagine. This is just insanity. Imagine, if you will, a war on drugs that brings more drugs in the country. Imagine, if you will, a war on cancer that grows into a multi-billion-dollar industry, and the last thing on their mind is curing cancer. Oh, gosh. And my favorite ones, imagine, if you will, the Democrats that don't want to do anything that's democratic, or except for invade nations with other nations, and they join in on a democracy. Imagine, if you will, a Republican Party that forgot the Republic even existed and don't give a damn about it. We got so many. Imagine, if you will, I got to talk about these people a little later. I was thinking about something I was going to post before that migraine got me 2 days ago. Imagine, if you will, conservatives that embrace nothing that's conservation oriented. Imagine, if you will, progressives that are so damn progressive, they just progress beyond all common damn sense and rolling out the pesticides, herbicides, GMOs, vaccines, and everything that makes no damn sense. All the pseudoscience that's made from partial science, because people don't read books, they just ask their doctor. And they don't ask who their doctor is paid by, who owns the AMA, and who funds every single medicine school for all the doctors' education. But that's another whole thing. Yes, ML said reality is crazy. It is. It's let me show you something, ML. Let me show you. I got shit because I was Sometimes we forget about this stuff from our youth. Let me show you this. This is what I'm talking about. Like, we get to these places where we're so ridiculous. But somebody a long time ago told us. They told us, y'all. It's not like they didn't tell us. They told us, and we willfully forgot. Hold on, check this out right here. Check this out. I gotta show you this. Because I know I saw it as a kid. I forgot about it, though.
You walk into this room at your own risk, because it leads to the future. Not a future that will be, but one that might be. This is not a new world. It is simply an extension of what began in the old one. It has patterned itself after every dictator who has ever planted the ripping imprint of a boot on the pages of history since the beginning of time. It has refinements, technological advances, and a more sophisticated approach to the destruction of human freedom. But like every one of the super-states that preceded it, it has one iron rule. Logic is an enemy and truth is a menace. Any state, any entity, any ideology that fails to recognize the worth, the dignity, the rights of man, that state is obsolete. A case to be filed under M for mankind in the Twilight Zone.
Oh my gosh. So it's not like they didn't tell us. We knew this was coming. We knew a long time ago when we were going to throw out all logic, all truth, and just embrace the nonsense behind all of this. It's just crazy to me. Imagine, if you will, a nation that abolishes slavery, but somehow in 2017, there are more slaves than there were in 1810. It makes no sense. You know, imagine if you, oh gosh, I could go on all day about it. It's crazy to me that all of the craziness that we thought was just sci-fi. Like, we never thought we would be this dumb. We never thought we would get to, imagine, if you will, a Christian nation, right? Because that's what they call us. They say 70% of the nation is Christian. Now, personally, I believe the Bible, and that the vast majority of that have no idea who Christ is, and they have never read a Bible ever in their life. But that's just me. A Christian nation, you know, maybe we're the Crusaders now, that stands by and watches 2 million people starve to death in Yemen and make excuses why we're not interceding. Imagine, if you will. Imagine, if you will, oh God, the political arms of extremist groups taking over and us accepting that this is a good idea, you know, with Judaism. Like, y'all blame all the Jews. I don't do that. I understand the difference now between a Zionist and Jews, right? I understand it, and I get it because I listened to the rabbi talk the other day. I forgot the brother's name. I posted the other day, and he explained the difference. That the Zionists are the ones behind the craziness in the government in Israel, and those are the ones, they okay with murder. They could care less about murder. You know, God and Christianity and Judaism, oh, they don't give a damn about any of that. They'll murder anybody. They'll put kids in prison. They don't care. And meanwhile, the Jews are sitting back saying, whoa, what are y'all doing? We're not a part of y'all. Y'all crazy. Same damn thing with Westboro Baptist Church. They're the crazy arm. They're the Christians' crazy arm, right? They do all the crazy stuff on the planet. We're like, whoa, we're not associated with you guys. We don't know. But then everybody wants to link us together. Same thing with Al Qaeda and all the craziness and the Muslims. Oh, okay, they're off doing nonsense. The political arms off doing violent, crazy stuff, but everybody links them together. You know, imagine, if you will, you know, a population, an earth of people who completely ignore the peace behind every religious group, what it was supposed to be founded upon. And all they can see is jihads and crusades and killing a bunch of people. And they go and they somehow think on Sunday that any sort of entity is showing up and it's cheering if that entity loves peace, love, and joy, and it tells you to leave the least among us alone, that anybody who hurts children is among the most evil men among us, why in the world do you think you're a man of the cloth? Why in the world would you think that you can even touch the cloth? Why in the world? And so it boggles my mind. But I think what happens is people get so scared. They get so scared of the crazy times we live in. They somehow get walked into these places where, I guess maybe it might be a good idea to let robots go on the street and push the homeless off the street, because maybe the homeless shouldn't be on the street. Do you know what those robots are going to be used for after they perfect keeping homeless off the street? Do you have any idea who? Do you have any idea what they're using that for? Imagine, if you will, a nation of people who can't seem to process that they use technology in versions. 1.0, that's the one they release on the homeless, kind of perfected a little bit. 2.0, they'll release on the poor people standing in line for food and trying to get jobs and stuff. Then to step it up, version 3.0, to send it to the country. They'll go after people whose lands, like Lavoy Finicum and those brothers and the Bundys and all of the folks in Waco. And imagine, if you will, people don't get how this thing goes. That when you give them authorization to use robots against people, they will eventually be used against whoever you think your people are. That's how all of this goes. This is not the time to pretend that you don't see what's happening. This is not a time to cheer the nonsense that all the leaders all over this world are doing. This is a time for you to grow the hell up, realize who you are, that you are a human damn being. I don't care what anyone else indoctrinated you to think you are. At the base of everything, you are a human being. The minute you let some Christian teacher tell you something that's taking human lives, there is nothing good about you, perhaps, maybe not about your group. The minute you let someone tell you that you're black or you're white or you're Asian, you should be standing with this group against that group, and that group ain't the 0.01% rolling out the robots, then you're a damn fool. I'm sorry. I love you to death, but you're lost. And we need to hug you and somehow bring you back to some common sense. When we're in a place where the twilight zone is real, every day on the news, every day, when we're in that place, that's when it's time for you to stop grouping up with your little ignorant. All right, that's not nice. I gotta be nice. That's not a time for you to group up in your little groupings that the 0.01% gave you, whether they gave it to you because your family was poor and the bigger landowner pushed your family off their land, or they invaded your land and killed off most of the indigenous people and took over the land, or they put your folks in slavery, and then they said slavery ended, and that slavery never ended. This is a time when you understand that these people divide everybody up so they stay in power. Dummy. Really, I joke and I laugh because it's ridiculous to me. I'm actually okay with wherever this goes because, hey, maybe we're not smart enough, y'all. Maybe our brains haven't evolved. Maybe enough of our brains haven't evolved to a place where we could actually see the curtains. And so maybe we shouldn't exist. Maybe it's time to kind of wipe the slate clean and get some microbiology and kind of restart some dust of the earth and allow God or some aliens, whatever did all this, do it again, Big Bang, I don't know. Maybe we're not smart enough. That's why I kind of laugh, because I care and I don't care. I just think that part of me thinks that we are smart enough. Part of me actually thinks that human beings are smart enough to get the fact that we're being played against each other all the time, and that we actually are in the twilight zone, and that it's obvious because they don't even hide it anymore. When they say they're warring on something and it makes more of the thing, every time they write a piece of legislation, it's for this, it ends up causing more of that. They're not even hiding it anymore. It's not even a disguise. So now it's not a time. Now is certainly not a time to fall into identity anything. Identity politics is just one portion of it, but then you got identity race, you got identity religion, you got identity nation, you got all these different identities which are all based in groupthink to get you in a group and make you dumber. And my point to you is you're not that dumb. Your brain is capable of so much more. Who was the comedian who said the brains is the best brains, is the brains that you have with some brains? Was Was that Eddie Murphy? The brains is the best brain. Your brains is the best brains. But when you put your brains on identity, it's like putting, what was that anti-drug commercial? This is your brain on drugs, and they put the egg in the frying pan. put the egg in the frying pan. This is your brain in group identity. And this is what groupthink actually does to your intellect. It fries the hell out of it, and it makes you cattle. All of this stuff is they're just cattle fencing. All they're doing is, and I said it before, I get tired of saying it, but I keep seeing more. So, and this one they're gonna make y'all mad. We're gonna talk about tax reform. I'm not talking about tax reform. You know why? Let me tell you why. Straighten my jacket up. I don't care. I don't care. When they are murdering 2 million people in Yemen and 200,000 people, the Rohingya Muslims, when they're murdering human beings, it's time to shut the hell up on things that are a lot less important. I don't really care about your money. I don't. I don't care about your financial situation and your banks. I don't. They can all go somewhere. When they're murdering people, that's time to step up and say, oh, y'all shouldn't be murdering nobody. I thought you said you were Christian. I thought you said you were Muslim. I thought you said you were Islamic. I thought you said that you love these people. I thought you were a human being. Turns out you're a psychopath. You're okay with murdering all these people and turn your back on them. You don't let them talk about stuff like tax reform. You don't let them talk about stuff about Twitter and about something else. Like, you're supposed to be an adult in this, right? Like, imagine this. Okay, this is what I try to do. This is what I try to do anytime something happens and they try to get my attention with something silly. I imagine if I will, that I were actually in a country or a place where they are doing the harm that they're doing. I imagine that I'm Lavoy Finnecom. I imagine that I'm the Bundys. I imagine that I'm some young kid without a frontal lobe that the police just pulled over, who's a little angry because they put a little too less jelly in his donut. I imagine that I'm in Yemen and that I were just born there. I imagine, but you know what? That's not even the powerful one. You know what the powerful one for me is? It's my kids, right? I imagine that they weren't born to me and they won the birth lottery in Yemen. Or let's say they lost the birth lottery and they ended up in Palestine. They lost the birth lottery and they ended up a Rohingya Muslim in Myanmar. And I put them in those kids' shoes who are being murdered and raped and starved to a point where they have no muscles on their body and they can't even stand. And then you ask yourself, if you were in that situation, would you be talking about tax reform? What would you think about a world that was talking about all the little silly political BS that was going on, that both parties are complicit with anyway, all the damn time, and you're trapped in that country? This is how you grow up, people. This is, and I'm sorry, I got a little serious for a moment, but this is how you grow the hell up. And this is what we need to do. We have to get to that spot. We have to get to that place where others are more important. Why? Because to our ancestors, they always took care of the others. You know, I was thinking about this morning. I was thinking about the Vikings. I was catching up on my show as I was getting past what y'all taking the flu vaccines, then flu shots then gave to me. I was thinking about the Vikings, you know, the murderous band of Vikings. They just went and they just murdered the whole planet. They were just bad and evil and just horrible people and just terrorism, you know, and we always get lost in the outcomes. We never go back to the root cause. And if you go back to the root cause and you listen to the historians, they will tell you that the Vikings were a population that actually outgrew their land, right? They outgrew their land, so they needed more land. They needed more food or they would die. What do you think is going to happen to a culture that doesn't have enough food to feed its population and nobody's willing to share? Everybody's respecting their 1% borders, which is what they were doing back then in the feudalism days. Everybody's respecting that this is mine. This is my land, because the 0.01% kings and lords said this is our land. So damn it, you Vikings, y'all can't come here. Y'all got to go back to your home and die and starve. What do you think is going to happen to that culture? They're going to say, okay, all right, we're going to go home. We're going to go home, but we're going to be back. We're going to go home. They go home for a minute, and you can easily turn a farming culture into a warring culture overnight, right? You can easily do, all you got to do is start starving their people out. And I ask you, are we not doing that to the Middle East? Are we not making violent cultures out of people who just want to live their life and be left alone? Are we not doing that to Africa? All over the continent? Are we not doing that in places in South America? Are we not doing that to rural and urban environments in America? All religions, all races, all colors. This is why you people can't be divided up. Yes, I called you people, whatever you people are. If you're not human, I'm calling you people. If you're grouped up with somebody else, I'm calling you people. Because this is how this goes. And it's not going to end good for any of us if we stay in ignorant land. So, oh my gosh. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't even feel like I'm sick anymore. All you got to do is start thinking about the craziness in this world. Imagine, if you will, a president whose wife plants an organic garden and then her husband backs chemical companies and spraying pesticide every damn where, putting GMO in every crop. And then imagine, if you will, the same president makes it illegal if you die from the GMO that you can't even sue the company. Y'all don't read. You got to read a book. Read some law. It'll bless you. Read something different than where you are. It's like I said, why I don't watch American news. I'm an American. Why the hell should I watch American news? I need to know what's happening elsewhere. I need to see what's happening in other communities. Don't watch what's in your community. Look and see what's happening in another community. And look, do this. If you are in a rural environment, watch what's happening in an urban environment. And watch the news for an urban environment. And after about a week or so, you're going to start making the hooks. Damn it. They're doing the same thing over here to us. They got the same problems we got. And if you're in an urban environment, watch what's happening in the rural environment. Now I know you got to get past the cows getting hit by cars in the street, but just keep watching. Because after a while, you'll realize, damn, they're doing the same thing to us. What in the hell is going on? And then, if that's not crazy enough for you, watch the news from another country, another damn continent. And then you'll realize they're doing the same damn thing. These people aren't that bright. Like, the system of divide and conquer is genius. It is freaking genius. But these people are not that bright because maybe the early oligarchs set up a system that was just so phenomenal. But the new ones, like, they're dumb. I guess they inbred for too long and they can't figure out how to make it look different. So in every country, every town, it's the same lies, the same BS. They do the same things to everybody because they think you won't notice. They know that you're so locked into your Christian community, you won't go talk to Muslims. You're so locked into your Jewish community, you won't go talk to Christians. You're so locked in your blackness, you won't go talk to white folk. You're so locked in your Hispanic culture that you won't go talk to the Asians. And if you won't go do that, then they continue to play y'all off of each other like you were born yesterday. And that's why we're in the twilight zone. Yeah, it's real, and it's now. It is. And this is happening. Yes, Kathy, it's happening in real time. Right now. Imagine, if you will, a pesticide company, a chemical company that makes pesticides that they spray over all of our damn food, that shows up the 11 popular pesticides in the urine of every child in the United States of America, and the executives for the pesticide company won't even drink the pesticide. Like, this is it's crazy to me. And all of this is blaring, and it's in your face. It's in our faces. And if we can't grasp the fact that this ends bad for our children, we might be good, y'all. We might actually make it. Nothing might not go down in our day, but it's definitely going to happen in the day of our kids. And they're all going. But you know what? The shame the shame and the good thing. The shame is that the effects of our ignorance most likely is going to fall on our children. The good thing, though, is in hard times, humans always come together. They always come together. You'll get the poorest of the poor minority, Hispanics and blacks and Asians in the inner cities, and they're going to come together with the poorest white folks, whatever y'all want to call them, Amish, European, whatever, in the country, and they'll come together because that's what they always have. You look at the Farmers Alliance and you look at the history of the human race, people eventually get it. Now, the damn shame is a lot of people got to die before that happens. And I just sometimes like to think that, yes, we are in the twilight zone, but we got this thing called the internet. And that actually will allow us to connect with people in communities that we can't get to, that we don't know the telephone numbers for, that we don't spend the time in. And we could actually talk to those people and realize that we got everything in common. Everything. And that they weren't playing with Alfred Hitchcock. And with the Twilight Zone, they weren't playing. That all of this was actually coming. But anyway, I'm off. I'm drinking my coffee, just yelling at you. I'm not yelling at y'all, man. I try to pay attention to some of this stuff, and it's just craziness. See what y'all are talking about on here. Jennifer said, we have the capacity, but we actually are our own worst enemy and stop ourselves with silliness. Yes, we are. We are our own worst enemy in terms of the human race, in terms of any little subgrouping anybody still wants to be in. We are our own worst enemy. We do it to ourselves because we allow people who aren't even supposedly in the group direct the group. We let the farmer farm us and keep us in those fences. We are our own worst enemy because they're not hiding any of this. Yeah, Johnny, I'm with you. I cry and laugh at the same time. Half the time, brother, I'm like, this is crazy. Oh, my kids, they're going to have to fight. They're going to have to take up some guns and spears and chuckers. They're going to have no guns because the Democrats will give it. They're going to need some spear chuckers. And I start laughing at like, this is crazy. This will drive you insane. Who was the dude on Batman, the Joker? He actually drove himself crazy with the movie that he committed suicide, I think, before the movie. It makes you want to cry in between laughing and crying. Like, none of this makes any damn sense. Oh my gosh. So what we need are assassins. No, Johnny, we had to disagree on that. We don't need no assassins. No, brother. No. You again, they understand violence, and that's what they need. And if y'all think that the robots in San Francisco, like, this is new, like, oh, they just made some new robots, y'all. The new robots, Johnny 5, y'all remember Johnny 5? They got the new robots with the tasers, gonna go out and tase homeless people. Oh, you're sleeping, you lazy bum. You got back from Iraq. You should go get a job. Like, if you think that they just made these robots and they're just rolling them off for something, you're crazy. You lost. You often, listen, this stuff they already had prepared to go. So I'm not on the revolution, violent, none of that, because that's exactly what they want you to do. They want you to talk about that because they're prepared for that. They got the Patriot Act. They got everything, the police state from starting with, who did the police state start with? I guess it started mostly with Bush, the big push, Bush and Obama, and now Trump. They're just rolling out the police state. They are ready to take on anything and everybody who wants to even think about some violence. So I can't get on that boat. We don't need assassins. We need fake news assassins. We need lie assassins. We need common sense assassins. We need people to start breaking down the crap that gets otherwise intelligent people locked up in this nonsense, because it's deep and they know what they're doing. Like, I think about it, and some of the most intelligent people I know, some of the most, they just got the suit. They got 4 degrees. I got my master's and my philosophy degree, and I got a job. I'm gonna work for this people. I can do this, dude. The most intelligent people I know are dumb as a doornail. And there's something about that. I don't know what it is. I haven't connected it. It's not everybody, y'all. I'm not saying I'm not saying everybody with multiple higher degrees are dumb, but I'm just saying maybe it's just the buy-in into the system, and the more degrees you get, the more that you really fall, or you're just fighting and you're switching industries and you're getting new degrees. But the most highly educated people I know are the ones who are the most lost in this. And maybe it's just buy-in. Maybe because when you get a degrees at those higher levels, you get the jobs, and you need to kind of be a little nice to master. You got to, you got to be, master the cotton gin, damn it. The cotton gin that's a great invention. Yeah, it just means we got to get some more slaves, and we keep going. Because you're on the porch pouring the lemonade. I don't know. And if that offends you, I'm sorry. It wasn't really meant to. It's just the reality is, if you embrace the slave supporting systems and you're still lost in the consumerism of Christmas and all of the nonsense, you're not helping. You're not helping. You need to step away. Go make yourself some friends that believe in aliens. Go make yourself some friends that are conspiracy theorists and start looking at some other stuff. But it's the whole world. Thank you, brother. I don't know if it's the truth. I just think that we got to talk about this stuff. And I think if we get to a place where we actually start shaming people for their ignorance of not understanding that, eugenics was a real project, and Agenda 21, and all of these things that we thought were conspiracy theory, they're all actually now, they're realizing that they're true now with the Freedom of Information Act and all of the stuff from the Gulf of Tonkin to all the things that they told us were lies all over the time. Oh, it's just conspiracy. That's not true. That it's all true. Damn it. What was the alien one? What was the one when we were kids? I forgot. Oh my gosh. I have to go. I have to play it for you sometime. Next to Area 51. What's the name of that daggone place that started the whole? One of y'all know where the UFO crashed, and everyone in the town said, yeah, the aliens crashed, the UFO, they got the bodies out, the ranchers said it, everybody said it, the police said it, everybody agreed that this was a UFO that crashed, and even the Air Force came out and said it, we captured a crashed UFO, we got the saucer, blah, 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 blah. Roswell, yes, thank you, Roswell, and everybody agreed to it. And the next day, no, actually it was a weather balloon. Actually, it was a, what they say? They have 4 or 5 different excuses. It was some swamp gas. Like, they came up with all these different lies about what it is. And then we kind of, okay, it's crazy. Maybe we start believing it. Oh, it's crazy. Do you know that one of the guys he worked PR for the Air Force, he just died. And you know what he did? He wrote a very long letter and he put it in a safe. So after he died, his kids will find it. And you know what that letter said on it? It's always some lies, and it's crazy. But this is why we have to really question everything. He wrote a letter and said, because I did this, because I don't want to make any money from it. I want anyone to think that I'm doing this, But the reality was, we did capture a crashed UFO. There were 2 crash sites, just like everybody in the town said. We got bodies, this many. I thought 1 or 2 of them was living. And he just blew the whistle on everything. And he's not the only one, right? You had others. And I'm just sitting here thinking, we're in the twilight zone. Or maybe we always been there. And now people are actually starting to come out and say, but I think it's more acceptable now to say this stuff. If you said this stuff, when we were kids, nobody believed it. But now that the mathematicians and the astrophysicists and everyone's starting to chime in and they're looking up and they're saying there are more Earth-like planets all over the Milky Way galaxy than grains of sand on all the beaches all over the Earth. Think about that. If there are more Earth-like planets, in fact, that our solar system is the oddity, because we only have 1 Earth-like planet, that the majority of stars have multiple planets around them in Earth-like orbits to support life like ours. So we're not even talking about life not like ours. We're not talking about frozen life, because we know on our planet alone, we have extremophiles that can live in the most coldest climates and the hottest climates. We're just talking about Earth-like planets. There are more of those than grains of sand on all the beaches all over the Earth. And that's just the Milky Way galaxy. The idea that we are the only game in town is the most ridiculous concept ever created. And I think that's because people in science every now and then it starts to do, which is why I kind of laugh, because it's not just science, it's religion too. Because you know what religion is? Most of them, most of the main ones, they are belief in beings that are not from this planet, right? They're belief in beings that are not terrestrial. They're belief in extraterrestrial. So they're all Roswell religions, every last one of them. But anyway, it's not Alien Day, man. I'm just saying that the Twilight Zone in multiple ways is real because people defy all logic today. They ignore all truth today. And now all the crazy thing, y'all remember the episode of was it Alfred Hitchcock or the Twilight Zone, where you had the guy and he became a plant and had plant leaves growing out of him everywhere, and and everybody in the family became plants. Like, it's real. Like, everything is possible now when you think about the fact that everything you touch exchanges DNA. Like, how do we get fish that actually can freeze and come back to life, right? How did you do that? Because one day a fish that was swimming along in the ocean, doing its own thing, it rubbed across something, a plant or something else that had the ability to create antifreeze. And I think plants were the first ones who could make the sort of an antifreeze type thing. And its genetics, it took in all the genetics, or it took in the ability to do that. And the DNA in its body, the epigenetics said, oh, damn it, freezing is a good idea. Let's freeze, and that way we can swim further north. And so you got fish now who can be frozen solid as a block of ice and be reanimated because we exchange DNA with everything. So when the plant thing comes into your living room and touches you, you can become a plant. Like, it's crazy, but it's true. We are in the Twilight Zone. All the things that we thought were impossible that made no damn sense because we believe all the crap we're indoctrinated to, it's actually all true. It's insane. And you know how they found that out? It was a study in France. I would get off a GMO and imagine, if you will, a world full of biological creatures that poison themselves with every chemical on the planet. But you know how they figured that out? Because one of the very few studies they did on those Monsanto GMOs were either with pigs or they with cows. I'm thinking they were cows. And they ate the corn. And what happened, it was a corn that was, I guess it was BT, and they sprayed the BT pesticide or whatever on it. And the cow started, its body, the microbiology in its gut, it actually took in the DNA, the genetics from the BT, the little bacteria they stole it from that was in the pesticide that was on the corn. And it learned how to make BT pesticide. So for whatever reason, that bacteria in the cow's stomach said, you know what? It's a good idea to manufacture BT pesticide. And it started making its own pesticide. Do y'all hear me? Do you know how crazy that is and how crazy that even sounds? We are in the Twilight Zone. And the scary thing is people, they won't accept like the truth of all of it, which is why they keep dancing down, box land. The other reason I like to talk about like ancient archaeology and the fact that we don't even know what a human being is. We don't know where we came from. We don't know anything. All the things they're discovering that just prove modern archaeology is all a big lie. Like, they never talk about it. They never accept it. They sweep it under the rug because they need people believing the silly nonsense that they do. Anyway, I'm off. Yeah. I was having a little fun. I got to see what y'all talking about. Brother Chris said, anything that does not contribute to the natural well-being of people, let's talk all about that. Right. So if it doesn't contribute to the well-being of the human race, it shouldn't exist. That's what it comes down to. If the human race is in control of the human race, if we are in control of our leaders, if we are in control of our government, if a thing gets created that's not for our benefit, how in the hell does it continue to exist? Because somebody's making money from it. That's how it always goes. Think of, again, back to the robots in San Francisco. If these things aren't for helping us, why does it exist? And how does it end for us if we continue to allow things to be created and put the vast majority of our wealth into making weapons of mass destruction and big, massive metal machines that are increasingly better and better and bigger at murdering people all over the planet? What is the future of a species that continues to promote that? What is the future of a species that continues to cheer the majority of their spend going into murdering something that looks like them? Have any idea how that ends? Do you? Are you thinking about it? I do. I think about it all the time. I'm trying to get the hell out of here. Yeah, thank you, Buddha. I try to talk about what's real. I try to do that. Kathleen said, I share the kind of humanity. I share that kind of humanity, empathy in my thinking. Empathy is a big word. Empathy is everything. You know, most of our grandparents, if you really thought about it, if you really, really thought about it. Now, mind you, some maybe drank a little too much. Maybe they smoked too much. But if someone came knocking at their door and said, I need some rice, what would our grandparents do? They go and get the shotgun and put some bullets in it and go shoot the hell out of them? No, damn it. That's the American answer. That's wrong. Wrong. You failed the test. Our grandparents will go get them a cup of rice and make sure that family has something to eat. Why? Because when your neighbors are secure, when your neighbors, when you do nice things for them, when you have a trusting community, that's something we used to call national security. You don't go bomb and murder a bunch of people and say that that's going to make us more secure. That just makes it so more people hate you. And when some new technology comes out that they can kill you with that you don't know nothing about, they're going to kill you. Because that's how that works. So our grandparents are turning over in their graves and their grandparents. And guess who they learned it from? Their grandparents. And guess who they learned? Their grandparents. And so all this lineage of all of our heritage, all generations, all ethnicities, all cultures, all races, all religions, anywhere you want to put yourself, who made it a thing to take care of their neighbors and to take care of their communities, are all rolling over in their graves because we threw away all the knowledge and all the wisdom they tried to hand down to us so we can get in a group with some other people so we can get back at the other people. We got to get them out of office. Like I said, it has nothing to do with Obama, had nothing to do with Bush, and some people still hadn't figured out it ain't got a damn thing to do with Trump. But they're still, oh, we just got to get them out. Doesn't matter what we do and how we do it. Got to get them out. You know, 2 million people starving in Yemen. No, that don't mean nothing. Don't mean nothing. Our president did it too. We got to just get them out. Everything will be better when we get them out. And so our presidents will become increasingly violent, which is what's happening. Our Congress will never change because people will stay in their little ignorant groups, their little ignorant groups. I'm going to call them ignorant groups. And so nothing ever changes because the fencing remains the same. And the 1.101% that runs both political parties, the Democrats, the Republicans, and I'm sure they got money in the Green pocket, independent parties' pockets also, they maintain control because they keep you stupid. And maybe they're supposed to stay and we're not. Maybe they're smart enough. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we're just the dumb cattle. And our goal is to just work on all the technology and hand it up to them. Somebody asked me the other day, I forgot her name. I won't. Oh, no, I didn't. I forget her name. I'm not going to say it. I don't put people on blast. They asked me, well, what do you do? Or, she's asking me about paying taxes. And I said, yeah, I pay my taxes. I ain't stupid. Well, you're feeding into the system. Yeah, I am. But I'm also not stupid. All right. So we live in a climate where the Democrats and Republicans have forced all of this. Now, all of this is against everything the founding fathers and the people who started this country after they murdered all the people who own the land, most of them, from the indigenous people. They destroyed everything that they stood for. You're not supposed to be paying no taxes. You're supposed to have land so you could be free, live your life, do your own thing, and nobody would mess with you. That's why they came here. They came here because they were sick of the king. They were sick of the lords. They were sick of the taxes. They were sick of the tyranny. They were sick of being told what to do. And now magically, the kings and the lords and all of that nonsense is now both parties own it and they own the country. And so we walk back. So hell yeah, I pay my taxes. Why? Because everybody around me voted for me to go to prison if I don't. Do I look like I want to go to prison? Do I? Hell no, I don't. So I pay my taxes and I follow the laws, most of them. The ones I don't follow, I won't tell you about. It's not your business. But what do? Well, first of all, we're talking about technology and these robots and automation. That's what I used to do. I walked away from a career. I walked away from a very lucrative career. Why? Because I'm paying the taxes on a high salary, supporting slavery. I'm using my intellectual capital to help corporations that shouldn't even exist make more technology for their children, not for my children or your children, so they could own a world. And so I've determined that I don't need to work for the most evil corporations on the planet. Not that they have to stay evil. You can re-kick them for doing good. I don't blame corporations. They just are what they are. And they're in an environment where they got to compete. And how do you compete? You screw humanity. That's how they compete. And so they have to do what they have to do. So I left that career. Nope, don't make anywhere near the money I used to. And guess what I found out? Guess what? I found out how little money you actually need. You almost don't need anything. You don't need anywhere near as much as you think you do when you start to get away from the consumerism. When you start to realize that you don't need all of this crap. You don't need all these services. You don't need the newest car. You don't need the newest iPhone. You don't need the biggest house. That all of these things are just ways to show people how insecure you are, because all you're doing is promoting to your neighbors that you're better than them. So I walked away from that. I gave that up, and I gave a lot of things up, and I continue to give things up. The more and more I realize, what are the things that are supporting modern slavery, both white, black children, Asian children, Hispanic in prisons all over America and in foreign countries from Middle East to South America to Africa, what props up, the more I find out what props up the forced labor systems, those are the things that I kind of walk away from, and how do I find out those things? I talk to other people. I listen to people in other countries. I listen to people who aren't like me, and I start to realize that, but then I take on the humility that came from our ancestors, because most of our ancestors were humble. Let's be honest, right? The sustainability in our ancestors, it wasn't there because they thought sustainability was a good idea. They were sustainable because they were poor. They didn't have a choice. They had to be sustainable. They had to be smart. They had to be wise. They had to fix things and not just throw them away all the damn time. So I do my best to go back and find out what those things were. Y'all don't like to talk to your parents that are dying. They're annoying to you. You put them in homes and stuff. You don't want to be bothered with them. I do the best that I can to talk to them. When I got a bunch of old people that I call mom and dad, I got a bunch of old folks I talk to all the time. Why? Because they have a lot to teach. There's a lot of wisdoms that we lost. There's a lot of sustainable practices that we don't do anymore because we're so wealthy and ignorant that we support these things. And so that's kind of what I do. And it's not, and I'm not blasting anybody or nothing like that. I'm just saying everybody on their own. Once you get to a point where you realize the twilight zone is not sustainable, not the alien parts of it, but the twilight zone and becoming increasingly ignorant as an earth and a culture and a country and all these groups. Once you realize it's not sustainable and it's going to mean a lot of problems for our children, then that's when you have to start to figure out, what can you walk away from? What can you step away from? What can you let go once the kids are in college? What can you let go, once you get that promotion? Maybe you don't need to buy a bigger car, but everybody figures that out on their own. And the interesting thing, the thing that I believe is it doesn't take a lot to collapse this system, Now, it would be nice if the system didn't collapse. It would be nice if it just got to a point where they just gave up and said, all right, we tried to screw y'all. We couldn't screw you. You figured us out. Enough of y'all. 20% walked away from our nonsense. And so we're going to figure out how to help you. We're going to give 50% of our new technology to just help humanity, right? To make sure that there are basics that are met for everybody. And I'm not, people get off on the anti-capitalist stuff. I'm not anti-capitalism. I'm not. I am not at all. My libertarian backgrounds actually won't let me be. I'm anti-ignorance, right? Capitalism, to me, it can have a place. And capitalism, but capitalism and profit and making capital can never come between any child and food. It can never come between any human being and food and a house. And anything that we know we can automate and we can make sure everybody on the planet can have as much as they want, the bare necessities, everybody has to have those. And we passed that place 40 years ago. 40 years ago, we had the technology to make sure everybody had a house, food, and water. The bare minimums it takes to not make psychopaths out of our children, to not put people into survival mode where they feel the need, where they got to become Vikings. Like a lot of the things that happen around the world now, the violent things, they're just Viking responses. Why? What am I saying? They're the terrorists. They're the terrorists of the day. We make them, and then we blame them for becoming what we made them. And how do we make them? For throwing out the wisdoms that were handed down for thousands of years, ancestor to ancestor to ancestor to ancestor to us. It said, when your neighbor shows up and they're hungry, you feed them. Don't go to your neighbor's house, kill everybody in the house, and steal everything they have. Don't go to the Congo, kill everybody you can, and steal all the zircon, all the zircon you can. Don't go to the Middle East, prop up evil kings for princes and in a feudalistic type system, pretend you love democracy, murder a bunch of people, keep the people starving and poor as possible, and sit back and pretend, that you're not the terrorist and that this is not and that this ends well. We have to go back to the wisdom our ancestors taught and get rid of the modern ignorance that's popular. Otherwise, we will make a Viking world. And you don't want to live in a Viking world. But 9 times out of 10, it's not us that's going to live in the world. We're going to live wealthy, be ignorant, fat, and die. And it's our kids are going to have to pay the price for us being morons. Hey, Debbie, welcome to the house. You like my background? Thank you. I was just doing a little Twilight Zone, having a little fun today. Okay, yeah, we talked about the Roswell stuff. I have to play it. Y'all, if you have, there are clips of it on YouTube. You have to listen to it. It's crazy how many people, though, are dying. And just before they died, before they croaked, there was another guy he croaked. I forgot who he was. He worked on some black budget project or something. And just before he died, he said, aliens are real. All of this stuff is crazy. They're coming down. Some of us want to kill us. Some of them want to be our friends. And the government knows everything. And they died. But that's not funny. But it's all over the internet, y'all. But I think the thing is, too, when it comes to that, when it comes to the Twilight Zone and aliens and all the new modern science and quantum physics and epigenetics and the warrior gene and how all this stuff works, I think people are just scared, too scared to admit that what all of our ancestors have recognized all over time has always been true. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, or it didn't then. But now that science is making it all make sense, that all that stuff was real. But I think they're scared to embrace that. I think there's a great deal of security that people get thinking that the leader that they elected in the Senate and Congress and the local government, whatever it is, that they love them, that they won't send out mosquitoes trucks to spray DDT and carcinogens all over their lawn and their house and their kids, and they won't end up with cancer. That somehow, because they voted for that leader leader gives a damn about them more than the 0.01% who actually selected them. So anyway. What else we got? Brother Johnny said the UFO game is not real. Oh, Johnny, I have to disagree with you. Because unfortunately, growing up, I had, fortunately and unfortunately, I had a father who worked on some of those quiet projects, and I was privy to some things I probably shouldn't have been privy to from some other people who he worked with. And I can tell you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that we have advanced technology, extremely advanced technology that we shouldn't have, and no one knows where it came from. And I got some other friends who saw some other stuff I won't talk about. But for me, I don't have any illusions that there's something out there. Has it been here? I don't know. Who knows? But there's no way we're the game in town. I think that I would have to be really accepting of some real, superiorisms that I'm the only game in town and this massive. So, Johnny, this is what I think about. Not putting you on the spot, but like I said, If there are more Earth-like planets in the Milky Way galaxy than grains of sand all over the Earth, and all over the Earth, there's life everywhere, including silicon-based life, life that lives in extreme conditions, life that can even live out in space, and we are one galaxy. You know, we are one galaxy in billions of galaxies. Billions of galaxies. There's not even a number. Even if the Big Bang is real, and even if we all just came out of a soup of microbiology and waves and ocean and phosphorus and everything just kind of came together, what if that was all true? It is a mathematical impossibility that life would only develop here. And being that we're like the youngest thing in the universe, we only have our history barely goes back, what, 3,000 years? And before that, we barely know the people, the Sumerians and the unknown cultures from, was it Mohenjo-Daro and all these places where they're finding cultures going back 13,000 years and further in the Sphinx. Things that we don't even have an interface. You look at the Voynich manuscript, which I need to talk about, you know, and languages that we don't even know anything about, plants that we've never seen before. You know, and the idea that we're the only game in town, I can't get on that boat, brother. I can't say that I know. I've never seen a UFO. I think 9 times out of 10, I listen to the people who work on that stuff, and they say most times when you see it, it's not really aliens. It's just the United States and Russia, because they got these, what do they call them, electromagnetic drives. So you look back at recent history, the SR-71 and the Blackbird, the SR-71 Blackbird and the stealth fighters and all these things that people were taking pictures of, the triangles and stuff, like, oh, it's aliens. We've never seen this before. And turns out it was just the United States Air Force. This is why, like I said, it's you know, and the reason I like to talk about the aliens and UFOs when I do, because they're lying. They're lying. And if you can spot somebody in a lie, it doesn't mean we know the truth, but it means we know they're lying. And if half of what these scientists and these engineers who work on these black budget projects say are even partially true, and we have the means for free energy or highly more sustainable energy or engines that work more efficient than the ridiculous gas fueled guzzling engines and that we have today, that we're destroying the planet for, that we're murdering millions of people all over the planet to get oil, then to me that's the greatest crime against humanity, that they keep it secret. And so it's important, as I always say, when you find somebody lying, to say that they're lying. When it comes to UFOs and aliens or whatever they might know, they're lying. Wasn't it just, I don't want to go down that road, but it was just an F-18A video a few weeks ago. They were flying. This was an American jet, right? Like, we know, we've seen them in Mexico where the Mexican Air Force, and they're chasing UFOs. There was an F-18, what was it, like a month ago, that they just released a video that was chasing a UFO. And this is modern technology. It's brand new. And this is a new thing for America, because normally America doesn't say nothing about that. But anyway, let me keep going. I'm trying to avoid the alien stuff. Kathleen said, maybe because they're smart enough to seek solutions. Oh, maybe because they are smart enough to seek solutions to problems. I think you meant aren't. And I agree with that. I do believe that anytime someone, you sit down in a boardroom and you're trying to solve a problem. Okay, we got a problem, we want to solve it. Okay, let's do this. John, what's your idea? No, my idea is this. Someone else's idea is this. We can do this. We can change this. We can change the project, add this milestone, we'll flip this in. And everyone's got their ideas on how to solve something, and nobody can figure it out. And finally someone says, you know what? How about we just murder the competition? And everyone says, hey, that's a good idea. Let's go do that. I think you're right. I think when people aren't smart enough to solve problems, they always end in violent solutions. Like, the solution is always to murder people and take it. And when you have leaders in government that always come up with a violent answer to every damn thing, it means that they're not smart enough. Perhaps they shouldn't be in government. Perhaps they should seek jobs painting pet rocks. Or they should seek jobs, or they should go back to school and learn to come up with nonviolent solutions. It's like with your neighbor. You don't go murder your neighbor because your neighbor does something to you. We're not that dumb. we can come up with solutions. So we got to stop electing political parties and groups and people who constantly prove that they're not smart enough to solve problems, that all they can do is send some drones and some tanks to kill a bunch of people. Totally agreed. Johnny, I know what you're talking. I can't. You always try to get me in trouble, man. I'm not going down that road. Earth is a prison for alien defectiveness. I believe. Hey, I believe anything. I'll believe anything that's plausible. The only thing I won't believe is if the government says it. Anything's possible. Hey, could be. This could be a prison planet. This is just where they dump the people with the failing genetics, which is why they can't come up with the solutions to solve simple problems, and it always ends up in violence. And why we don't see UFOs everywhere, because they keep everybody on the planet because we're like the little ignorant DNA ones. They're like, no, you can't let them off the planet yet. And every couple of years they come look at us. What are they doing? Are they still murdering each other for oil? Okay, they're murdering each other for resources. And okay, yeah, they're not ready yet. No, we can't show ourselves. We got to hide. Maybe we'll luck up and they'll kill themselves or something. And yeah, we can't be bothered with that. So I believe anything could be possible. Jennifer said, oh yeah, the video's not the differences of women and men. Yeah, I know. Johnny, listen, Johnny, he's just trying to get you going. That's all. Don't buy. He tries to get me with the Christian stuff. And he's not wrong when it comes to the Christians. The worst thing, the biggest problem with Christians is Christians. So, I don't deny that. But the whole gender thing, I can't get on it. I'm not on it. We have to solve problems. So again, the root of our problems always goes back to division, right? They divide people up in groups and they convince you, here, let's solve the problems of your group. And so you've got the women got their problems. You've got minorities that got some problems. You've got the poor white folks that got some problems. You've got the Muslims that got some problems. And you got these millions of problems all over. Everybody's being oppressed by the same damn people, the same damn ways. But they get you in these little fences to talk about your group's problems and not the root cause, the greed that lands all groups in those problems. And we're yet to be smart enough as a mass group to say, I'm not going to group up. I'm going to talk about the core problem. The core problem is your greed. And if we can solve greed and take greed out the equation, then that means it solves everybody's problems. It means the poor white kids have food. The poor black kids have food. The poor Hispanic kids have food. We're not worried about people coming over the border because we got plenty to share, and we're rebuilding their economies. We don't have to go rob and murder for resources because they're sharing, because they got desert. They don't have tons of food. We got abundant land. We're giving them food. They're giving us oil. And we go back to like being human beings instead of being ignorance or ignorant, whatever we are. All right. I done went way too long. Let me see if I missed anything. Sister Glenda said, I am so down. I see people writing attacking comments to those who are for we the people. Yes, sister, you will see a lot of that. And I honestly think most of that are AI bots. I honestly believe it because a lot of the comments tend to be the same. They don't answer your questions. They kind of just keep trying to, they keep going down a thought pattern and they're not really responding to you. Like either they can't grasp your points or they're just an AI robot trying to waste your time fighting over it. Anytime anybody has an issue with we the people, anytime someone talks about not dividing people up in groups, that person is either highly brainwashed or that person isn't a person or they're a psychopath or something, because the message of getting together, that's how human beings have always risen to the occasion. That's how they always stood up against the kings. That's how they always stood up against the Lord, the lords with an S, right? So anytime someone's talking that down in a comment section, I'd say don't waste your time. I don't waste my time. I don't. My time, to me, my time is very valuable. And I don't have time to argue with a robot, some software. And I don't have time to argue with someone who is just so angry that they're not ready to see truth or deal with facts. So I don't want to waste my time with those people, Glenn. I try to avoid them. When did Kathleen said, where did the breakdown in those values happen? I don't know. I mean, I would suspect that sometime in every group's, nations, regions, whatever time, they got those people to a place where they were so scared of their neighbor that they actually turned on their neighbor, that they actually agreed with politicians who don't even live in the community or the neighborhood, and they turned on their neighbor. And so instead of talking to their neighbor, being scared of their neighbor, it forces them to always go to their government to solve a problem, as opposed to doing what we've always done. We always solve them for ourselves, right? When we had problems with each other, we go, well, this is why I say I think daycare teachers should run the world. Why? Because daycare teachers, they understand some very basic concepts that adults forget. The first one is sharing. When you share with people, you build up national security. They like you, they trust you. Then you're all friends. Y'all can all play with the blocks together, and there's no fighting in the daycare room. But the other thing is like solving problems amongst yourself, right? The teacher teaches them that when you have a problem with Sally, go talk to Sally. Try to solve the problem yourself. Don't always run to the teacher. And this is how, I know it sounds bad. This is how I see our fellow Democrats and Republicans a little too much. I'm not talking about the people, the voters. I'm mostly talking about the leadership. But the people will run to the leadership. So I got a problem with my neighbor. So instead of actually going and talking to my neighbor, I'm just going to run to my local politician and try to get behind some legislation to screw my neighbor instead of talking to them. And when people stop talking, when they stop talking we to people, then you can get them to become anything you want. So I think it kind of started with fear of your neighbor, where 9 times out of 10, if you go talk to your neighbor, they're really no different from you. Most times they just want to live their life. They want to be left alone. They want a house, car, some food, family, kids. And as long as they have that, they're very peaceful and they don't turn to violence. And why I separate, and say capitalism isn't the problem. It's the implementation of capitalism over everything is the problem. Because if you push capitalism to a space where it's over and above the necessities, then it's not a problem. If you want a bigger house, then okay. You want more cars, okay. Bigger boat, whatever. You want the accreditation, okay, fine. But as long as people have the bare basics, food, house, life, all of that stuff we know we can provide for free with automation and robots, then people don't turn to violence. You know how hard it is to get somebody who's happy to go do something violent? It's almost impossible. If you have a good living and you're enjoying your life, no one can encourage you to go fight a war for the king. And so that's how the king always did it. The king would starve his people, tell them they can't hunt on his land, raise the taxes, make his life hard. Why? Because he knew he had a war coming up. He knew he wanted to get people who were already happy to go fight a war. And how do you do that? You starve them. And so that's what he did. And we keep falling for the same nonsense, and we got to stop falling for it. All right. Let me just shoot down to the bottom. Oh my gosh, we got a couple comments. Last couple one. Johnny, he's still on the whim. I'm not touching that. Stop playing, man. Teresa said the cabal uses your TV to brainwash you with low vibration sound waves. They can make you believe anything they want. Teresa, I believe it. I don't, it sounds plausible. I mean, it's really from a scientific perspective, is that how our brains work? Are they affected by certain waves? Of course they are. Did that just happen in the embassy in Colombia? Yes, it did, where they took a sonic weapon and they focused it on the embassy and the people started to lose their mind a little bit. It doesn't take a lot in terms of brain waves to upset how the human brain works, to alter it, right? This is why most countries around the world, they don't sell cell phones. Well, a lot of them, they ban the cell phones to children under the age of 14, because they know what walking around with a cell phone, those waves that coming out of cell phone actually do to the human brain and the electromagnetic energy. But it actually affects the human brain. And because of the size of a little kid's head under the age of 14, the waves take over the vast majority of their brain, which they say will lead to all kind of brain cancer and brain damage. What do you get with brain damage? The neuroscience told us you get people that have issues with decision making from their frontal lobes, right? They have issues with empathy, with cognitive thought, with fear, with aggression, with love, with all the things that make up those warrior genetics. And so it makes perfectly good sense that if you can change a wave, or you can flash images, you know how they used to do to us with the popcorn? We go to the drive-by theaters, or not drive-by theaters, that's Compton or something else. The drive-in theaters, and flashing images of popcorns throughout the reels to make everybody hungry so they go eat the popcorn. They prove that to be true. So the idea that they're not using some sort of technologies to keep everybody voting the same way, or staying in their party, or fearful of the other group, or brainwashing, completely plausible. I won't deny that one bit. But the reason it happens is because we don't have people who question the Twilight Zone anymore. It can't be true. It can't be. Our government would never turn on us. They love us. They never get us into a war by lying about something. They would just never happen. Weapons of mass destruction, the Bay of Tonkin, and all of the nonsense that we've done. They would never turn on. They would never put GMOs in the food they knew would hurt us. They would never put pesticides anywhere, because they would never take money from those corporations to do that, even though we know that's how the political system works. So I believe anything's possible. I stay as far from TV as I can. In fact, the TV mostly is a dust collector for me. I do my learning from the brothers and sisters I like on Facebook and places that do live streams. And that for the most part is my news, and that for the most part is I have a couple TV shows I like, but I'll watch them on the internet. But I kind of stay away from the mainstream because, and this is why I don't judge people, Teresa, right? Because most of us, if we thought back, we used to be locked into that indoctrination too. So I don't want to judge anybody that still believes in that nonsense, that still believes that we're all not just being pitted against each other. But I can't fall back into it. Right? I can't go back doing the things I used to do that props up the lies. You know, you go in the corporate office and everyone believes that same thing. You go to the cafe, everybody believes it. You go to your lunch break with the same people, they all believe it. They all watch the nightly news and NBC and Fox and CBS and CNN, and they're all propping up a fantasy, a Twilight Zone, and they're making you believe that, you know, things are normal and human beings are, you know. So anyway, I just try to stay away from it. All right, y'all. It's been a lot of fun. I done pushed it late, and I appreciate y'all hanging out with me watching the Twilight Zone. And I'm just going to end on a truth clip. And remember that this is where we are. We are in the Twilight Zone, and the only way out is to talk about the truth.
You walk into this room at your own risk, because it leads to the future. Not a future that will be, but one that might be. This is not a new world. It is simply an extension of what began in the old one. It has patterned itself after every dictator who has ever planted the ripping imprint of a boot on the pages of history since the beginning of time. It has refinements, technological advances, and a more sophisticated approach to the destruction of human freedom. But like every one of the superstates that preceded it, it has one iron rule. Logic is an enemy and truth is a menace. Any state, any entity, any ideology that fails to recognize the worth, the dignity, the rights of man, that state is obsolete. A case to be filed under M for Mankind in the Twilight Zone.